Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's fascinating deep dive where we are going to explore one of the most incredible stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that captures the imagination of both casual viewers and serious numismatists. The tale of a single humble Lincoln wheat penny minted in 1957 that, due to an extraordinary collection of mistakes, errors, and anomalies, has been valued by collectors at a staggering $4 million. And while at first glance the idea of a 1-cent coin being worth millions might sound impossible or like an exaggeration, the truth is that rare coins derive their immense value not from the metal they are made of but from the stories they carry, the historical significance they embody, and above all the unusual and spectacular mistakes that occurred during their minting process which make them truly one of a kind. So let us begin our journey into what makes the 1957 1-cent wheat penny such a legend in the coin world, starting from the background of the Lincoln wheat cent series itself, a design introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, designed by Victor David Brenner and featuring the iconic bust of Lincoln on the obverse with two simple wheat stalks framing the reverse, a design that endured until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse, meaning that 1957 was actually the penultimate year of the wheat reverse series and thus already had some nostalgic and historical importance. But what sets apart the 1957 penny in particular is not just its place in history but the catalog of minting errors and mistakes that have been identified in extremely rare specimens, some of which are so dramatic that they elevate the value from a mere cent to millions of dollars. And when we say errors, we are referring to a range of possibilities including double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die cracks, die clashes, planchet errors, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, transitional errors, overpolished dies, and even unusual combinations that create hybrid anomalies, all of which play a part in the mystique of coins like this. So let's unpack these one by one in the context of the 1957 Lincoln cent, beginning with the Denver Mint itself, which in the 1950s was producing millions upon millions of pennies per year, and in doing so sometimes introduced errors simply due to the sheer volume of production and the limitations of quality control at the time. And one of the most famous types of errors to emerge from this period was the double die error, where during the process of creating dies for striking the coins the hub imprints the design onto the die twice slightly offset, producing noticeable doubling of the letters or the date on the coin. And for the 1957 penny, collectors have reported examples with strong doubling visible on the motto, "In God We Trust," on the word "Liberty," and most importantly on the digits of the date itself, with the doubled numbers producing a ghostly shadow effect that immediately stands out to the naked eye. And because doubled die obverse errors are extremely rare and sought after, such a coin instantly leaps in value. But in combination with other errors it can become astronomical. And then we have repunched mint marks or RPMs, which occur when the small d for Denver was originally punched onto the die by hand and sometimes had to be corrected, leading to instances where multiple impressions of the mint mark overlap slightly, sometimes north, south, east, or west of the primary mark, creating a doubled or even tripled mint mark appearance. And with the 1957 wheat penny there are known varieties of RPMs where the D appears thickened or shadowed, and for advanced collectors such a small detail makes the coin even more intriguing. But moving beyond these well-documented errors, there are also spectacular off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly seated in the striking chamber, leading to coins where the design is shifted drastically and part of the coin shows blank metal while the rest shows a distorted Lincoln bust or partial wheat reverse, and the degree of off-centeredness can range from mild to dramatic, with higher percentages usually commanding higher value. And when you combine an off-center strike with a double die or with a wrong planchet situation, you end up with a truly extraordinary rarity. And wrong planchet errors deserve attention here too, because in certain instances coins were struck on blanks intended for other denominations such as dime planchets, or even foreign coins produced at U.S. mints, resulting in a penny design that looks smaller, lighter, or made of a different metal composition. And a 1957 penny struck on a silver dime planchet or on a foreign coin planchet would instantly skyrocket in rarity. But that's not all. We also have die cracks and die breaks, errors caused by the physical breakdown of the die over time, leading to raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the finished coin, sometimes referred to by collectors as cuds. And with Lincoln wheat cents, these can appear across Lincoln's head, across the fields, or on the reverse along the wheat stalks, each creating a unique, one-of-a-kind fingerprint for that coin. And another fascinating error possibility is the die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring faint outlines of the reverse design onto the obverse die and vice versa, meaning that on certain 1957 pennies you might see ghost-like impressions of the wheat stalks behind Lincoln's head or parts of Lincoln's bust faintly visible on the reverse, again adding to the mystique and collectability. And when you consider all these factors together, you start to see why an otherwise common wheat cent can transform into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. But the story doesn't end with just error types, because the condition of the coin plays an equally massive role in determining value, with higher grades like mint state coins preserved in brilliant red color commanding exponentially higher prices. So when a coin like the 1957 wheat penny exists in a top grade with a dramatic error such as a doubled die, repunched mint mark, or wrong planchet strike, the rarity compounds upon itself, and that's how we get into the realm of millions, and reports of certain unique specimens that combine multiple anomalies suggest that one particular coin, preserved in superb condition, exhibiting both major doubling and an extraordinary planchet error, has been appraised at around $4 million, making it not just a collector's dream but an almost mythical piece of numismatic history. And when we think about why people are willing to pay such staggering sums for such coins, it is because they represent the pinnacle of rarity, the idea that out of hundreds of millions of coins produced in 1957, only one or two might carry this specific combination of errors. And for collectors who build their lives around finding and acquiring unique pieces of history, owning such a coin is like holding the holy grail of pennies, a direct connection to both the fallibility and the ingenuity of the minting process. And beyond that, there is also the human fascination with mistakes. Because we tend to value that which deviates from the norm, that which was never meant to exist but somehow slipped through the cracks of quality control to survive decades in circulation. And in that way, the 1957 1-cent wheat penny worth $4 million tells us not only about minting technology but about human desire, rarity, and the pursuit of perfection in imperfection. So as we continue exploring these details, we can also speculate about the possibilities that may have occurred in the mint that led to such anomalies. Perhaps a hubbing accident that created strong doubled dies, perhaps a misfeed that placed the wrong planchet in the striking chamber, perhaps a mint worker repunching the mint mark multiple times to try to correct alignment, and all these little accidents converging into one coin that today stuns collectors with its rarity. And if we think about the journey such a coin might have taken, from being struck in Denver in 1957, perhaps slipping into circulation unnoticed, perhaps rattling in someone's pocket for a few years, maybe sitting in a jar of pennies for decades before finally being rediscovered by an eagle-eyed collector who realized its unique qualities, the romance of that story only adds to the value. And this is why in the coin collecting community there is such passion for searching through rolls of coins, looking at pocket change, and hoping to stumble upon that one miraculous era penny that could change someone's life. And though most 1957 pennies are common and worth only face value, the existence of extraordinary error examples keeps that hope alive, and when we think of the figure $4 million for a single penny, it forces us to step back and reflect on how human value systems work, how rarity, story, and desire intersect to transform a small copper coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And this is the kind of story that makes numismatics endlessly fascinating, reminding us that history and fortune can sometimes rest in the palm of our hand. So as we close this deep exploration, remember that the 1957 wheat penny valued at $4 million is not just about the errors and mistakes of a minting process, but also about the imagination it sparks, the thrill of discovery, and the pursuit of rare beauty in unexpected places. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this journey, and maybe you'll be inspired to take a closer look at the coins in your own pocket. Because you never know when you might be holding a fortune disguised as a humble cent.